All right, everyone. So in this section, we're going to build all of the views for our product so that we can see the product, then add a product, or more specifically, add a product, edit the product, and then also see the product as well. So the first thing that we want to do is add a product. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's say, oops, that's not supposed to be there. Inside of views is where that should go. So in here, we'll say new file in views. We'll then do add product.jsx, and inside of here, we'll grab all of our imports off screen and bring them on screen. Again, that will be linked or available down below. Again, same things from before. Use state, links, adding products from Firebase, set, alert, use global state from the store, button, and the header. So from here, we'll then go ahead and say const add product is equal to, and we'll give that a arrow function. And inside of here, we'll say const name set name. That's going to be equal to use state. So use state, which is going to be empty. We'll then also add const price, set price. That's going to be use state as well. Const image URL, set image URL. That's also going to be use state empty. Const description will be set description. That's going to be set equal to use state as well. We'll then say const account, set that equal to use global state. And that should be connected account, by the way. So we'll say connected account with a capital A. And then last but not least, we'll need to create a const for navigating. So navigate. It's going to be equal to use navigate. All right. So now that we have that, let's go ahead and handle adding the product. So const handle add product. So this is a function that we're going to be using to insert information into our database. It's going to be an event that we're going to be listening for. So we're going to say E here, and we're going to take that into a arrow function. We'll then say e.prevent default, and if not the account, so if it's not the account holder that we're looking for, then we'll say set alert and please connect your MetaMask account. Okay. Red is the color, of course. And if that happens, then we just want to return and stop execution. Cool. Otherwise, we'll say if, and here we'll do name and the full gamut of information from before. So name is equal to an empty string, or price is equal to an empty string, or image URL is equal to an empty string, or description is equal to an empty string. If that's the case, then we just want to return and stop execution. Otherwise, we want to add the product. So we'll say add product and give it a object, which it will be name, price, image URL, description, and account. Okay. That is a promise, so we then need to resolve that. And inside of our resolver, we'll do the following: an arrow function inside of that, And we'll say set alert product created successfully. Okay. And then once we do that successfully, we want to navigate to the home page so that we can actually see it. And from here, the rest is just HTML. So if we go to the line 29 and then hit enter a couple times, we'll then return our HTML here. So we'll say return, and I'll just copy this on down to the parentheses here, and we'll get that and paste it on in. Okay, there we go. So again, same thing from before. We're handling on the submission of this form, we are going to handle the values. And inside of that, we're going to literally send this product to Firebase. So that's where this add product, remember we did that inside of our helper functions inside of Firebase. So that's what we're doing here. We're saying, hey, we want to send all of this information from Firebase. And if you don't remember what all that was doing, feel free to go back to that video and rewatch that. But inside of here, we're literally saying, hey, we want to take the product, all the information for the product, in this case, this object, pass that in. And when we do that, we should then we should return a promise that is going to then allow us to say, hey, we've done this successfully, and now we need to navigate to the rest of the project. So in this case, that is at least partly done. Now what we need to do is export this. So we'll say export default and product. No, I'm sorry, add product. Add product. There we go. Okay. So that's adding the product. Now we need to be able to edit the product. So let's go ahead and edit, or set up a view to be able to edit the product. So if we say views, new file, we'll do edit product.jsx. Again, this is going to be a form of sorts. So we'll start there. And again, we'll need some imports. So I'll start with the imports, bringing those on screen for you guys. We have our header, the button, use effect and use state from React, link params and use navigate from React Router DOM, update product, get product, and auth from Firebase, set alert from the store, and then use global state from the store as well. All right. From here, we'll say const edit product. It's going to be equal to the opening of a function, and we'll const ID, so curly brace ID, which is basically going to be deconstructed inside of the use params value. So this is going to return some information back to us, and when it does, all we want from it is the ID, and placing that inside of an object. Then we'll say const navigate. Navigate is going to be equal to use navigate. We'll then create our product, so an array for product, and set product will be equal to use state, which is going to be null for now, or empty. We'll then say const of name, set name. We'll make that equal to use state, and that is going to be an empty string instead of null. We'll say const also for price, set price, and that will be an empty string as well. Const let's do image URL, set image, or let's do set uppercase I, image URL, and that will be equal to use state. Const, there we go. For description, set description as use state. And then last but not least, const account. It's going to be equal to use global state connected account. Now we can go ahead and set up the handling of seeing all these products, or at least changing it if we need to. So in this case, we'll say use effect and use effect will then give us this. So we'll say get product ID dot then. Inside of that, we'll say we want the data from that product. And inside of that, we'll say if auth current user dot UID is not equal to data dot UID, then we just want to navigate away from that. So navigate and go to the home page at that point, because we don't have the right person. However, if we do have the right person, we'll say set product of data. So this is no longer null anymore. We'll say set name of data dot name and set price of number data dot price, set image URL, which will be data dot image URL, and set description, which will be data dot description. Okay. When we do this, we want to make sure that this only happens once if this ID is available. So we need to now close this off at the end at line 28. So we'll say comma index and ID. So we only want to do this if the ID is first present. If it's not, then we, or if it's first present and then we need to change it, we want to be able to do that. But the only way we can do that is if we pass in the ID here, so that we don't completely override and it basically just continues to go over and over and over again unless we give it that. So now that we have that, let's go ahead and handle product update. So we'll say const handle product update. Inside of that, we'll do an event, or we'll be listening for an event. And we'll then say that we need to prevent that default. So prevent default. If we don't have the correct account, then we'll do an alert. So we'll set an alert and we'll say, please connect your MetaMask account. And we'll make that red. Make it red. From here, we'll then return and stop execution, because that's it. That's all we need to do. Again, if we have a situation where we have values that are blank, so again, similar to what we had before, we'll say name is equal to an empty string, or price is equal to an empty string, or image URL is equal to an empty string, or description is equal to an empty string, and that's it. If that is the case, then we want to return and stop execution. Otherwise, we want to update the product with the valuable information that we are going to pass it here. So the first things first, we're going to use all of the previous products. So we'll spread those products out. So product. Then we'll update all the other stuff. So we'll say name, price, image URL, description, account, and then that should be given back to us as a promise. So we'll then resolve it, and we'll say inside of our resolver, come on, there we go. What we will do is set an alert, and we'll just say product updated successfully. And we'll do a navigate away from that to the home page, and that will be, or more specifically, to the product page. And then we'll concatenate that with, let's say, product .id. All right. Navigate. Cool. So then we need to drop down to line 49, hit enter twice, and you know the drill. We're going to grab some HTML and push that on over to the screen. So we'll grab that and put that in a gist as per usual. And then underneath here, we'll say export default edit product. All right. The last thing, or the last view that we need in terms of products, is just the product itself. So in order to see that, let's go ahead and create a file for that. So let's go ahead and inside of views, we'll say new file, product.jsx. And inside of product, it's going to be a good amount of information here. I'm going to bring in the, let's bring in, make sure I got that. Okay, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to bring that, all of our imports in really quickly. And here we go. So we got our header, use effect and use state, use params from our React router DOM, button and card image from the material Tailwind React. We are getting the product, deleting the product, and authorizing ourselves as well from Firebase. Set global state, use global state, and set alert will come from the store, and then pay with ethers is coming from comic store, which we have over here. All right, so with that, let's go ahead and create the product view. We'll say const product is going to be equal to this guy right here, and we'll say const is going to be equal, or have a object that is deconstructed from the use params. So again, that's going to give us an object that we only want the ID of. So const of navigate is going to be equal to use navigate. We'll then say const product, very similar to what we've been doing. So product and set product. Oops, set product. Don't want to delete it yet. Then we'll do use state, but that will be null because again we'll start off with an empty product situation. We'll then say const cart, which is going to go into the global state. So use global state. That's not going to be null. That's going to be cart. We'll then say const is logged in, which is going to be equal to use global state is logged in. We'll then say const of buyer, which is going to be equal to use global state, and that should be connected account, the connected account. And last but not least, we'll say const of ETH to USD equal to use global state ETH to USD. Okay. So here's the functions that will pertain to this. So we'll say add to cart to this component or this view. Inside of here, we'll say we want an arrow function, and we'll say const item is going to be equal to product item.added is going to be equal to true. Let cart items equal the spread out values of the cart. So all of the cart values from before that we had, if there are any, that is. We'll also say const new item as well, which is going to be equal to an object of all of our items. So items spread apart. or spread equally. And then we'll say quantity, which is going to be item.qty plus equals 1. And then we'll say stock, which is going to be item.stock minus equal 1. Okay. If that is the case, or if we have a cart that we can find, and inside of that we will need the item here. So we'll say call back for an item, and we'll do item.id. It's going to be equal to item.id. And we did the underscore just to make sure that we can separate and make sure that it's easy to understand what that is and where it came from. So that's internal, by the way. So we'll say cart items is going to be indexed by the item that we have. That will be equal to new item. Okay. Set global state will be the cart. And inside the cart, we will then have all the cart items. Otherwise, if that is not the case, then what we will do is set global state again, but this time inside the cart, we will add new items. So we'll say take all the cart items that we had before and then add one more. All right, and that is it for that section. Let's go ahead and set alerts. So set alert for product added to cart. Okay. Got a few more functions that we need to create here. The next one will be handling paying with ethers. So let's say const handle, which is the crux of everything that we're trying to do, pay with ethers, and that's equal to this right here. And we'll say const item is going to be equal to an object spread with all of our products first, then the buyer, then the price, which is going to be product dot price divided by ETH to USD. And we're going to fix that to a certain amount of decimal points. So 2 fixed 4. So 4 decimal places at the end. Let's give this some space just so it's easier to read. And then we'll say pay with ethers with the item dot then, because it's going to be a promise. And that promise will have a response inside of it. And we'll say if the response, or if the response is true, if we have a response, then we'll say set alert for product purchased. Okay. Cool. All right. So we'll drop down to line 40, hit enter twice, and say const handle delete product. So we only can do this on the product view, so the internal of the product view. So handle delete product will look like this. So we'll say empty parameters with an arrow function, and we'll say delete product. Again, that's going to come from our helper functions for Firebase. So delete product. That's a function that returns a promise. So we'll need to resolve that. And we'll say then, with nothing inside the parentheses, equal to, or starting the arrow function, sorry about that, set alert. And we'll say product deleted. And navigate to the home page. All right, so 2 more functions that we need to create here for this component or for this file. And then we'll do, let's say at line 47, I believe. Yeah, line 47, hit enter a couple times, and then we'll say const to currency. Here we go. Inside of the parentheses, though, we need to pass in num so that we have a number to work with. And we'll then say num dot to local string en US, and then we will then pass in our object, which will be style currency and currency of USD. Okay, there we go. Forgot the comma. All right. And then the last thing that we will need will be a use effect to make sure that this works when we need it. So we'll say use effect inside of our callback function, which is a arrow function, by the way. We'll then say we want to get the product, or get product, which is an ID dot then data, and we'll set that equal to set product. Okay. And we'll spread that out, spread all the data, and use a quantity of 1. Okay. And at the end of this, at line 58, we want to place our cursors and then an ID to stop that here. So if present, effect will only activate if the values in the list change. That's what we're saying here. If that value never changes, don't do anything. But if it does, then do this. All right. So underneath that, the only thing that we need now is HTML. I'm just going to grab that from off screen and place it where we need it. So there we go. Again, that is all the HTML that we need to display our products. So we have a card value that is going to show a card image, basically. If you know anything about the card structure, it's basically the image and then the description. That's basically what we're doing here. We also will have inside and only if the person is logged in, and only if the auth current user UID is not equal to the product owner, so the owner's UID, and is not also and the account is not the buyer at the same time. So what that means is you cannot be the person that loaded this product at the same time, but you can also the account at this point, or the product account cannot be the same person that uploaded this as well. So if it's not equal to buyer, that's basically what all of this here is saying. If this is not equal to buyer, then we cannot show this. So, but we'll see this when we actually run this inside of our project. The last thing that we need to do here will be to export this so we can actually use it. So we'll say export default and product. Okay. So at this point, we have everything that we need for the product. We can update the product. We can add the product. We can delete products as well. Now what we want to do is show this to the app.jsx. So that's, at this point, the next step that we need to do. So let's go ahead and add this to the correct area. And we now need to use this latest price value right here. And this is going to go underneath line 25. And we'll just say latest price. And that is nothing going to go in there. Cool. From here, let's see, what else do we need? We need to now set up some routes for our product. Okay, cool. So let's do that really quick. So the first one will go underneath home. So we'll say route path, which is going to be equal to that will be equal to product slash ID, and this colon ID is a placeholder for a variable to go in there. So the ID of the product that we're looking for will then say element, and will then equal that to the product. Cool. So if that, hopefully that, I don't think it did, so no, then we need to import the product first before we can actually use it. So let's go ahead and do that really quick. So underneath sign in, so import for product, we can then import that from views and product. Cool. So there we go. All right. So in here, I believe that is what we need for product. And in order to edit the product, we need to do some other stuff. So underneath here, we'll do a route. And inside of that route, we will then say we have a path, and I'm going to make this a little bit easier to read. I'm going to go to the next line and say path is going to be equal to product slash edit slash colon ID. And the element will be edit product instead of product. So we'll say edit product. Okay. There we go. Oh, and we want to surround this with an auth guard first. So inside of here, we'll make sure that this is surrounded by an auth guard. And we'll say auth guard of user, which is going to be equal to user. And we'll take this guy and wrap it underneath here. Cool. And we'll do the same thing for add product. So I'm just going to copy this actually to make it a little bit easier. Copy this and bring it down. And we'll say product instead of edit, we want to just add. So we'll say product slash add. Again, we want the auth guard to be there as well. And we'll say instead of edit product, we want to add a product instead. So at that point, now we can go ahead and save this. And in the next section, let's go ahead and see how this all works together. So I'll see you in the next section.